Hey everyone, I'm Multiple456, you're the Ultimates, and welcome to episode 14 of Let's Platinum Danganronpa 1, 2, Reload. Alright, let's learn a little bit more about non-stop debates. From here on out, the number of weak spots will start going up, but no matter how many weak spots, there's essentially only one lie or contradiction in that debate. What I'm trying to say is, not all weak spots you see are necessarily false. Use a truth bullet on the wrong one, and not only will you fail to refute what they said, but you'll also lower your trust with everyone, and your influence gauge will take damage. Now, this is important because if your influence gauge reaches 0, you fail. You'll have to rely on your own logic to determine which weak spots are actually lies or contradictions. Well then, good luck and have fun. Alright, so here we go. Things are going to get a little bit trickier. Because we're going to have more weak spots, but we only have one truth bullet, so that helps us. So let's see if we can work this out.
The incident took place in Makoto's room.
This is true.
Sayaka was first attacked in the main room.
That's also true. It's got nothing to do with bathroom door frame as well. Yep.
Then the killer ran after her.
Yep.
And they got into the bathroom.
Yep.
At that point, the killer had to try and bust down the door.
Mm-hmm.
Because Sayaka had locked it.
Sayaka did no such thing. There's no lock on the boys' room. So the bathroom door frame was the reason couldn't get in. Or they couldn't get in.
Open wasn't because it was locked.
Yeah.
After all, the girls' rooms are the only ones with walking bathrooms, right?
Yes, now that you mention it, that is true.
Then why didn't your bathroom door open?
Because it was stuck.
Huh? What are you talking about?
My bathroom door doesn't fit in the frame quite right. Monokuma over there can testify to that.
Yep, true as true can be. But you know, you're supposed to be the ultimate lucky student, right? But to have such a cruddy door, that's not lucky at all.
So the reason the door didn't open was just because it was stuck. But the killer didn't know that and assumed it was locked. So they tore apart the doorknob to get in.
Okay, but then why would the killer even think the door was locked in the first place? Everyone should have known you can't lock any of the boys' bathrooms.
The killer could easily make that mistake, thanks to one important detail about the scene of the crime.
One important detail. Something the killer didn't know. For some reason they were convinced the door was locked, which means the important detail the killer didn't know was that the crime took place in my room because they thought they were in Sayaka's room.
I got it! The killer must not have realized that it was my room.
What? Are you saying the culprit didn't even know where he was? That's inconceivable.
Is that a reference to Princess Bride? Maybe.
And yet, he's absolutely right.
Say what?
Well, to be more specific, what the killer didn't know was that Makoto and Sayaka had switched rooms, which is what led to the misunderstanding about the bathroom. If Sayaka had been in her own room, then
there would have been a lock on the door, and they would have had to break through.
So they had no idea how unnecessary their actions were.
ultimately, we can't know if it came open by force or simply by accident. The killer must have been considerably confused, with no idea how they actually got the door opened.
Regardless, it was a pointless act. Wasting time trying to break down a door that wasn't locked is...
definitely something I wouldn't do, since I would have known exactly why it wasn't opening, right?
That is a definite possibility.
So the killer would have to be someone who didn't know they'd switched rooms?
Then Makoto couldn't have done it.
That's what I've been trying to tell you.
Then who did do it?
I'm sorry, but I give up. Quit without saving.
But what happens if we can't decide
Brilliant.
on who we think did it?
Well, why don't we just vote right now? Majority rules.
Majority rules? You really think that's a good idea?
Yeah, our necks are on the line here. Someone seriously needs to do something. For serious.
For serious.
Does no one have any other thoughts or questions? It does not matter how trivial they may seem.
Oh, as a matter of fact, I do have one question.
Oh, you...
Jesus.
You don't gotta sound so disappointed.
It's fine, it's fine. Just ask your question.
Oh yeah. Okay, so, well, I was just wondering, culprit get into Makoto's room in the first place?
Yes. How did the killer get inside?
Maybe Sayaka just dropped the key somewhere and the culprit picked it up. That's possible, right?
I don't think so. That seems way too convenient.
Then maybe someone picked the lock?
Negative! If you remember, Monokuma made it quite clear that the locks are all unpickable.
Fine. How about this? The killer got in the easy way. They could have knocked and said they wanted to talk or something, and Ms. Maizono just let him in.
No, that can't be it either.
Oh, trying to argue against me? Sounds like someone doesn't know his place. Hello? Why exactly can't that be it?
The reason there's no way Sayaka invited her killer into the room. I already have the answer. This is kind of a tricky one. This is not really... Well, unless they say something here, because I can't remember what the response is, but the reason that Makoto believes that Sayaka wouldn't have let anyone into the room is because he talked to her about... Oh, I guess the whole... Okay, it's switching rooms in the sense that the whole reason for them switching rooms in the first place was so that she wouldn't open the door for anyone. So I think that's what it is, but let's find out how they explain it.
I got it! Because Sayaka was already scared, remember? That's why she asked me to switch rooms in the first place.
Same goes for you, Sayaka. No matter who it is, don't open your door for anyone. Even if I'm sure it's you, I absolutely won't open it. Otherwise, what's the point of even switching?
Knowing what she'd been through, I just can't believe she would have opened the door for anyone.
What if her being scared was a lie?
Huh? Well, what the hell is that supposed to mean? Why would she lie about something like that?
I know you don't want to consider it, but look at this and tell me. Can you still deny the possibility?
There's something I want to talk to you about. Just us two. In 5 minutes, come see me in my room. Check the nameplates to make sure you don't get the wrong room, okay?
I found a notepad during my search, and I shaded in the top sheet with a pencil. And these are the words that appear.
Oh man! I've totally seen people do that on detective shows. When you write, it can leave an imprint. Sketch over the next sheet of paper, and you can see the words. When I saw that, I was like, holy crap! I'd better make sure I rip the paper out before I use it from now on.
God, Hina's voice sounds so different from what I remember.
It's a pretty old-fashioned technique, but even the classics can be surprisingly useful sometimes. Oh, and I should also mention, I found the notepad on the desk in Makoto's room.
Huh?
Which means only someone who had been in Makoto's room before the incident could have written it.
Then either it was Makoto who lived there, or Sayaka who switched rooms for a single night.
So, Makoto, did you write this?
No, I didn't. But...
Of course you didn't. Because the note also bears a perfectly legible signature. Sayaka's signature.
Then that note, Sayaka wrote it?
But why? Why would she write that?
The note was likely her way of getting in touch with a certain someone. She must have slid it under their door to let them know she wanted to meet with them in secret.
If you got an invitation like that from the ultimate pop sensation, what young man could resist?
Of course, I'm only into 2D, so it wouldn't have any effect on me.
But can we be sure anyone even got this note? And honestly, even if they did, I do not think they are at all involved in what happened.
Huh? What makes you say that?
Would you like to hear what I have to say? Very well then. Pay attention.
Alright, let's see what Celeste's got. We've got dorm nameplates as our weapon, our truth bullet.
Sayaka and Makoto switched rooms, correct?
Yep.
But in the note, the place they were asked to come to, it specifically says, my room.
I see. So if someone read that note, then they would have gone to Sayaka's room.
Exactly. The room that
Makoto was staying in.
It's wrong.
Yeah, Makoto was staying in Sayaka's room, but someone switched the door plates.
The nameplates on Mai and Sayaka's rooms got switched.
They got switched?
That's right. The nameplates got switched, just like the rooms themselves. As a result, the nameplate on Sayaka's room actually had Makoto's name. And the nameplate on Makoto's room had Sayaka's.
So what you're saying is, the room Sayaka was staying in was actually marked as her room.
Then, if someone did do what the note said, they would end up at Makoto's room where Sayaka was.
Plus, their rooms are right next to each other, so switching the nameplates would be no problem. And the one who switched the names was... Well, of course it wasn't you, right, Makoto?
Right?
Okay, then who did it?
There's only one person who could have switched the nameplates. The only other person that knew that we were switching rooms.
I got it!
Sayaka.
Me and Sayaka were the only ones who ever knew about us switching rooms. So the only other person besides me who would even know to switch the nameplates was Sayaka.
You guys having fun yet? Like, this is, to me, when I played this the first time, if you're someone who's never played this and you're experiencing this for the first time, I really hope you're enjoying it, because every single time I played one of these and I got it right, it just felt like the best thing in the world. I was like, this is so cool, because it's like, it's logical for the most part. Only the hair thing so far, like it was, like I said, it was apropos of nothing and it just goes straight to hair. But like, everything else is just so well logically laid out and done, and he's like, Makoto is just a really great protagonist to like embody, and he's very relatable because he is the average, he's basically the ultimate average student in a way. So it's really good. All right, so the only other person that knew that we switched rooms was Sayaka, so she was the only person that could have changed the nameplates. She was the only person that would have had the reason to change the nameplates, but why?
You can also infer as much from her note.
Something I want to talk to you about. Just us two. In 5 minutes, come see me in my room. Check the nameplates to make sure you don't get the wrong room, okay?
She specifically tells the reader to check the nameplate. She would only have written that if she knew the nameplates had been switched.
But why would she switch them in the first place?
She wanted someone to come to the room she was in, and also hide the fact that it was Makoto's room.
What?
Inviting someone to your room, but not telling them you'd switched rooms. Why would anyone do that?
To understand that, we first need to understand what happened after she invited the person into the room. That's where the answer lies.
What happened then was probably whoever she invited over came in and attacked her. We figured it out! We know who did it! Whoever she invited over is the culprit!
But we still don't know who it is, you goddamn idiot!
Sayaka fought with her killer there in the room, yes? Perhaps the answer to our previous question lies in that initial struggle.
Yes, I think you're right.
Then... we just have to figure out what happened during the fight, right?
That reminds me. There was a replica sword at the murder scene. Was that perhaps used during the fight?
Oh yeah. What's the deal with that sword?
Sayaka suggested I should hold on to it. I thought it might come in handy if I had to defend myself. It seems pretty likely that the killer used it to break Sayaka's right wrist.
How the hell could you possibly know that's what broke her wrist?
The reason I know Sayaka's wrist was broken with the fake sword is because we know that there's gold on it, and the gold from the sword comes off very easily, as we found out earlier in the chapter.
I got it! All you have to do is take a good look at her broken wrist, and it should become pretty clear. Right there where her wrist is all swollen, there's something glittery there. See?
Is that gold?
It sure is. Specifically, the gold coating from the replica sword. You barely have to touch that stuff, and it'll stick right to you. And there's some on her wrist because...
I got it! Because she got hit with the sword, right there on her wrist!
I see. And so the truth draws ever closer.
Alright, then it's about time to solve this mystery.
What happened in my room, and what led to Sayaka's death? That's what we need to make clear. There's a bit more to learn about non-stop debates. Would you like to hear more? Yep. Are you getting used to these non-stop debates? Starting with the next debate, I'll start loading multiple truth bullets into your truth cylinder. But just like with the weak spots, only one of those bullets can actually refute the proper statement. In other words, from here on out, you'll have to combine the right truth bullets with the right weak spots to refute each statement. If you come up with the wrong combination, you'll take damage to your influence gorge. Press the L1 button to rotate the cylinder and choose which bullet to fire. Press and release the L1 button to cycle through each bullet. Or you can hold down the L1 button, then use the left stick to select a specific bullet. By the way, if the logic difficulty is set to kind, fewer bullets will be loaded into the cylinder. For our purposes, this time the logic difficulty will be set to mean. Well then, good luck and have fun. Alright, so we gotta figure out which of these is the correct one. So we're talking about the sword, right? So okay, we've used the kitchen knife set, replica sword. It's actually the replica sword sheath, because if she was hit with the replica sword, her arm would have come off, or her hand would have come off.
And that's when the first blow was dealt. A sword-based sneak attack.
Alright. He says sword-based sneak attack. Let's listen to the rest.
So she tried to fight back. She grabbed the kitchen knife she had hidden away. But then the culprit took that from her too.
And they killed her with it.
And that's exactly what happened.
This is a tricky one actually, but the sword was used first, and then the knife came afterward. Is that really the order of events? That leads to some unexplainable details. So this one is actually probably the first one that requires a bit of thought. But I'll just tell you the answer and let the cast explain it to you.
A sword-based sneak attack.
So you hit sword-based sneak attack with replica sword sheath. And they'll explain why.
Actually, no. I don't think the fight started with the sword.
Why not?
Because the sword sheath had been scratched.
Okay, yeah, so you learn that as you're investigating that the sheath had a bunch of scratches on it.
See? There's a gash.
See?
Like someone cut
Like
into
what?
it with something sharp.
There's like the graphics are just not good enough to show the detail, but yeah, apparently there's some gashes in it.
Something sharp? You mean like the kitchen knife? That was the only sharp thing found at the scene.
Stop jumping ahead. Slow down and explain it so I get what the hell's going on.
If the sword was used first, there wouldn't be any explanation for the scratch on the sheath. If you were going to attack with the sword, you'd take it out of the sheath first, right?
That's true. With the sheath on, it'd be heavy and bulky and useless as shit.
Okay, so how did the sheath get damaged?
If they got attacked with the kitchen knife, maybe they grabbed the sword as a defensive impulse. In that situation, there wouldn't be any time to actually unsheath the sword.
So you're saying the sword was initially used to defend against an attack from the knife?
Which means whoever had the kitchen knife was the one who attacked first.
I think I get it! So here's how it all played out. The culprit came in, found the kitchen knife hidden there somewhere. Then they took the knife and attacked Sayaka before she knew what was happening. So she grabbed the sword to defend herself, but then the culprit took that from her too. Then, after they broke her wrist with the sword, they took the knife and finished it.
Sorry, but I don't think Sayaka used the sword to defend herself.
What? How the hell can you not think that?
Because she never held the sword at all. There's a certain part of her body that makes this clear.
The part of her body that shows she never used the sword. Her palms, they were pristine.
You're
She would have
talking
got
about her
gold.
palms, right? The palms of her hands were perfectly clean, so I don't think she ever picked up the sword.
How can you know that just by looking at her palms?
Like I said before, the gold coating on that sword comes right off. All you have to do is touch it. In fact, if you look, you'll notice that a lot of the gold has already come off the handle. It's safe to assume that's because whoever used the sword got some of it on their hands. There's really no way she could have picked it up and come away completely clean.
Maybe she washed her hands after she escaped into the bathroom.
Sorry, but I don't think so.
Why do you say that? Is it because you think I'm ugly?
No, that's not it at all.
There's no way Sayaka washed the gold coating off her hands because The water was off. The water gets turned off at night.
I got it!
That's a really hard one to remember.
According to the Monokuma file, Sayaka's time of death was around 1:30 a.m. In other words, at nighttime. And the water in the bathroom shuts off at nighttime, right?
Oh, I didn't know that. Actually, I haven't taken a shower.
Oh my.
You're no different. You smell like a big fat ugly donkey.
I'm not sure whether to take that as an insult or a compliment.
An insult, obviously.
So anyway, if Sayaka never touched the sword, then that means the killer is the only one who used the sword. But hold on. If that's right, then the one who damaged the sheath with the kitchen knife was...
The one who damaged the sheath would have had to have been the one without the sword. Sayaka.
I got it! Sayaka? She had the kitchen knife?
And I think that is a perfect place to leave it for today. Now let that mull over in your brains as you try and come up with the answer to this class trial. I am not 100% sure if I'm going to finish it next episode. I hope so. But because even when you complete this, there's like a lot of talking that happens afterwards. It might actually take 2 episodes, but we'll see what happens. But for now, though, I want to thank you all for watching episode 14 of Let's Platinum Danganronpa 1-2 Reload. My name is Ultima456. You're the Ultimates, and I'll see you next time.